Today's class is on racism and the Nikkei diaspora. Our discussion centres around the Nikkei diaspora and their experiences of racism, as well as their reactions to it. We'll see how racism has been a near constant wherever they have been, and how this racism has had long-lasting effects on these communities. Let's begin. What are the historical roots of racism against Nikkei? It's crucial to get our basics right first. So, who exactly are the Nikkei? Nikkei are individuals of Japanese descent, or those related to them through family, who live outside of Japan. They are Japanese individuals and families who, for various reasons, decided to leave Japan and settle in a different country. Over time, these individuals have built communities in their new homes, like in Brazil, the United States, Canada, and Peru. Like many migrants, they seek better opportunities. Over time, they forge unique identities that might be both Japanese and something new. The history of Nikkei diaspora can be divided into three periods. Period 1 is from the 14th century to 1854. It consists of somewhat unintentional migration, such as pirates from coastal Korea and China, traders, and shipwrecks. Period 2 is from 1854 to 1945. It consists mostly of waves of migrant labour to North and South America, as well as Asia and other places. Period 3 is from 1945 to the present. It's different to Period 2 in that it's more economic or cultural migration. This has led to parallel Japanese institutions in other countries being born, such as schools, banks, religious organisations, and so on. It's also interesting because now we have generations who have lived in these countries. Imagine living in Japan at a time when there were economic challenges like job shortages or even famines. Now, on the other side of the world, countries like the US and Brazil had vast lands to farm and industries to build, but not enough people to do the work. This created a perfect situation for Japanese to leave home in search of a better life. They boarded ships, often with just a small bag and big dreams, hoping for a brighter future in the unfamiliar lands. However, the reality was often different to what they had hoped for. When these migrants started building lives in their new homes, they weren't always welcomed with open arms. Locals, who had their own set of challenges and insecurities, sometimes saw these new arrivals as threats. They felt that their jobs were being taken, or that their culture was being changed. Old racial prejudices combined with these fears led to a surge of negative feelings against the Japanese newcomers. And this wasn't just a matter of a few hurtful words. There were policies, acts, and even violent incidents that targeted the Japanese. On this slide, we can see that racism was expressed not just at an individual level, such as the sign, "Japs, keep moving," but also in newspapers too, such as the heading we see here, "The Japanese Tidal Wave." But even worse was to come. World War II was a turning point in the history of Nikkei diaspora, especially for those living in North America. The change was dramatic for Nikkei. One day, you're a hard-working farmer or shop owner, and the next, because your home country is at war, you're seen as the enemy. In the United States and Canada, this meant that thousands of Japanese descent individuals, many of whom were citizens of these countries, were suddenly uprooted from their homes and placed in incarceration camps. they were confined, their properties taken away, and their loyalty questioned, all because of their ancestry. It was a traumatic experience that left lasting scars. Imagine then returning home after the war, only to find that your home is no longer the same. That's what many Japanese descent individuals faced. Properties they once owned were either confiscated or sold. Their businesses, if they had any, were no longer theirs. Communities that once thrived were scattered. Yet, the human spirit is resilient. Many tried to rebuild, to start over, to reclaim a semblance of their past lives. But the war had left deep imprints on society's psyche, and the Nikkei community faced lingering suspicions and prejudices. Now, let's move forward to more recent times. What has been the legacy of this historical mistreatment of Japanese descent people? And what new forms of racism, stereotypes, and prejudice now affect them? While we might like to believe that society has evolved and racism is a thing of the past, the reality can be starkly different. Even today, someone of Japanese descent might hear comments like, "Where are you really from?" or be complimented for speaking English so well, even if they were born and raised in that country. Stereotypes also persist. Some might assume all Nikkei individuals are good at maths or play musical instruments, while others might never truly see them as belonging, always viewing them as outsiders. This casual or everyday racism isn't always overt or aggressive. It can be masked under humour, or even be unintended, coming from individuals who believe they're being complimentary or inoffensive. But these microaggressions, small, seemingly insignificant comments or actions, can accumulate over time, leading to feelings of alienation and othering. It's like a constant reminder, a tiny pinch telling the person that they don't quite fit in, even if that's far from the truth. These subtle forms of discrimination, though not always malicious in intent, can be just as damaging, if not more, than overt acts of racism. These prejudices aren't just hurtful words or awkward interactions. They have tangible effects. Consider this. If you were being paid less or overlooked for promotions simply because of your heritage, wouldn't that affect your quality of life? Studies have shown that Nikkei individuals, even with the same qualifications, sometimes earn less or face hurdles in professional advancement purely based on biases. This economic gap isn't just about money. It's about opportunities, potential, and the promise of a fair shot. Despite the high number of qualified Asian applicants, including those of Japanese descent, some top universities in the US have been criticized for their admissions processes that may indirectly cap or limit their admissions, a form of positive discrimination that works against them. In the tech world, despite a significant Asian workforce, there's a notable underrepresentation in leadership roles. Companies, even those in Silicon Valley, often exhibit a bamboo ceiling, an invisible barrier that prevents many Asians and Nikkei professionals from ascending to top leadership positions. This isn't just not about getting the corner office. It's also about being denied a voice, an influence, and the ability to shape the future direction of these institutions and industries. But the effects of racism aren't only felt in the pocketbook. they manifest deeply within the heart and mind. Constantly being treated as an outsider or being reduced to a stereotype can lead to feelings of isolation, stress, and even depression. For many in the Nikkei diaspora, there's also the inner tug-of-war between their Japanese heritage and the culture of their adopted land. This dual identity can be both a source of richness and a cause of inner conflict. Consider the youngest generations, Yonsei, Gosei, growing up in these diaspora communities. Many grapple with identity crises, trying to reconcile their ancestral traditions with the mainstream culture of the countries they're born in. This can lead to feelings of cultural homelessness, where they feel they don't entirely belong anywhere. Additionally, the pressure of the model minority stereotype, the expectation that all Asians should excel academically and professionally, can weigh heavily on them, leading to intense stress and mental health challenges. These internal struggles, combined with external racial biases, create a complex web of challenges that many Nikkei individuals navigate throughout their lives. We've seen that racism against Nikkei is endemic. It has existed throughout their history, wherever they have settled, and has permeated all levels of society, ranging from microaggressions to incarceration and violence. So, how can Nikkei combat racism? Now, amidst this backdrop of challenges, there emerges a powerful voice, that of Nikkei writers. These are individuals who use words to weave stories, share experiences, and challenge the status quo. Through novels, essays, and poems, they provide a window into the world of the Nikkei diaspora, confronting prejudices and painting a picture of their rich, multifaceted lives. They are not just storytellers, but also activists, using the might of the pen to fight for understanding and equality. Let's shine a spotlight on some of the voices leading the charge. Authors like Joy Kogawa, who penned Oba-san, paint a vivid picture of the incarceration experience in Canada. Julie Otsuka, with her novel When the Emperor Was Divine, chronicles a family's journey during the US incarceration period. These authors, and many more, provide a rich tapestry of the Nikkei experience, each with their unique style, perspective, and message. Their works serve as a bridge, helping both Nikkei and non-Nikkei readers to traverse the vast landscape of emotions, histories, and truths. Navigating the delicate terrain of addressing stereotypes without inadvertently reinforcing them is a complex endeavour. This nuanced challenge is vividly embodied in Hiromi Goto's novel Chorus of Mushrooms, where an attempt is made to dismantle prevailing stereotypes concerning a matrilineal family consisting of 3 generations of Japanese immigrants in Canada. The narrative initially introduces characters in alignment with existing stereotypes, a necessary step to set the stage for subsequent subversion. However, this initial portrayal runs the risk of inadvertently solidifying the various stereotypes it aims to deconstruct. Through this journey, Goto's novel highlights the intricate dance of challenging stereotypes while showcasing the inadvertent potential of reifying them in the process. If you've ever been deeply moved by a book or a story, you'll understand the power of words. Through the narratives they craft, Nikkei writers challenge prevailing stereotypes, confront biases, and invoke empathy. When readers immerse themselves in these stories, they're not just reading about characters, they're living their experiences, feeling their joys and sorrows. By sharing intimate tales, writers are combating ignorance, fostering understanding, and encouraging a more inclusive mindset. Consider the impact of a well-crafted story that captures the nuances of a Nikkei individual's life. Such narratives can humanize an entire community, making it harder for readers to hold on to unfounded biases. When someone reads about the raw emotions of a character facing racial discrimination, or the struggles of an immigrant family trying to find their place in a new land, it builds bridges of understanding. It forces readers to confront and question their own prejudices. Over time, these stories, whether they're fictional or autobiographical, chip away at the walls of ignorance and intolerance, paving the way for a more emphatic society where individuals are judged not just by their racial or ethnic background, but by the content of their character. But this isn't just a story of the Nikkei alone. It's a universal narrative of seeking connection, understanding, and unity. Across different cultures and backgrounds, there's a shared human experience, and recognizing this is the first step towards building solidarity. The Nikkei diaspora, with its unique position bridging East and West, can play a crucial role in forging these connections. Celebrating shared experiences while honouring differences leads to a more cohesive, harmonious society. To wrap things up, the journey of the Nikkei diaspora is a testament to the resilience, strength, and adaptability of the human spirit. Faced with numerous challenges, from overt racism to subtle microaggressions, the Nikkei community has navigated its path with dignity. And while challenges remain, the rising voices from this community, especially its writers, are ensuring that their stories are heard, understood, and valued. Their narratives remind us of the importance of mutual respect, understanding, and the shared dream of a world where everyone is acknowledged for who they are.